You think you know what a secret looks like, and then you watch a woman carry one onto national television. The contestant's name had already been called. She was already walking to the podium. The audience was already clapping. And then she stopped. Right there, center stage, halfway between her family and the buzzer, she just stopped. Her feet planted on the studio floor like roots had grown through her shoes. Her hand went to her stomach, not clutching, not dramatic, just resting there, the way you touch something that hurts so constantly you forget you're doing it. Steve Harvey was mid-sentence, gesturing her forward with his card, and he saw it. His hand dropped, his mouth closed, and something shifted behind his eyes, because Steve Harvey has stood on that stage for over a decade, and he knows the difference between nerves and something breaking. Her name was Claudette Marie Fontenot, and she was 34 years old. She was a second-grade teacher at Cypress Grove Elementary in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and she had been teaching for 11 years. She made $38,400 a year. She had a daughter named Avery, who was 7, and a son named Josiah, who was 4. And she had been raising them alone since January of 2020, when her husband, Terrence, left. He did not leave for another woman. He did not leave because of money or fighting. Terrence Fontenot left because Claudette told him the truth about what was happening inside her body, and he could not carry it with her. That is not a judgment. Some people cannot. But on January 11, 2020, Claudette came home from a doctor's appointment at Lake Charles Memorial Hospital, and she sat on the edge of the bathtub, and she told her husband that the mass they had found in her left kidney was not a cyst. It was renal cell carcinoma, stage 2. She was 31 years old. Terrence sat on the bathroom floor with his back against the door, and he did not say a word for almost 15 minutes. Claudette would later tell a reporter that those 15 minutes were louder than any argument they ever had. He moved out on February 3rd. He continued paying $600 a month in child support, and he called the children every Sunday. But he did not call Claudette. Not once. Not when she had her left kidney removed on March 9, 2020. Not when she started immunotherapy in April. Not when she lost 22 pounds in 6 weeks, and her mother had to move in to help with the children because Claudette could not lift Josiah out of his crib without her incision tearing. She told her students she had the flu. That was the lie. She told the principal, Mrs. Angela Thibodeau, the truth, and Mrs. Thibodeau covered her class for 11 days without reporting it to the district, because she knew that if Claudette's sick days ran out, the district would put her on unpaid leave. And unpaid leave meant no insurance. And no insurance meant no immunotherapy. And no immunotherapy meant Claudette Marie Fontenot would die. So Claudette went back to work, 14 days after major surgery. She wore loose dresses to hide the bandages. She taught phonics and addition, and the water cycle with a drain tube taped to her side beneath her clothing. She stood in front of 23 7-year-olds, and she smiled, and she read them stories, and she helped them sound out words. And then she went home and lay on the bathroom floor, because the pain made it impossible to stand. Her mother, Ernestine, was 67 years old, and had driven from Opelousas, 91 miles each way, every single day for 3 months. Ernestine cooked. Ernestine bathed the children. Ernestine sat in the hospital waiting room during every infusion and read her Bible and did not cry until she got to the parking lot. It was Avery who said it. Children always see it. Claudette was braiding Avery's hair one evening in June, and her hands were shaking, a side effect of the immunotherapy, and she dropped the comb for the 3rd time. Avery turned around and looked at her mother's face and said, "Mama, how come your hands are scared?" Not shaking, scared. Because a 7-year-old does not know the word for tremor, but she knows what fear looks like in someone's fingers. Claudette put the comb down and pulled Avery into her lap and held her. She did not answer the question. By September of 2020, the immunotherapy was working. The tumor markers were dropping. Dr. Rajan Mehta told Claudette that her response was in the top 15% of patients with her staging and age. But the medical bills had reached $94,000. Insurance covered 60%. That left Claudette owing $37,600, and she was making $38,400 a year, and she had a mortgage payment of $1,100 a month, and 2 children who needed to eat. She picked up a second job. She started tutoring in the evenings, 3 students, Monday through Thursday, $25 an hour. She graded papers during her lunch break so she could tutor after school. She slept 5 hours a night. Ernestine begged her to slow down. Claudette said, "Mama, I can slow down when the bills are paid or when I'm dead, and I am not planning on either one right now." Her sister Denise signed the family up for Family Feud in April of 2021. She did it as a surprise. She told Claudette it was a family trip to Atlanta. When they arrived at the studio on October 8, 2021, and Claudette saw the Family Feud sign, she turned to Denise and said, "I'm going to kill you." And then she laughed. A real laugh. The kind her mother said she hadn't heard in almost 2 years. The Fontenot family. Claudette, Denise, their brother Raymond, their cousin Tasha, and Ernestine. 5 of them. They wore matching teal shirts because teal is the color for kidney cancer awareness. But they did not write that on the shirts. They just wore teal. Only the family knew why. The first round was unremarkable. The Fontenots played against the Morrison family from Cincinnati. Raymond won the face-off. The family played. They got the #1 answer on their second guess and cleared the board. Normal. Fun. Steve made a joke about Raymond's mustache and the audience laughed, and Raymond flexed, and everything felt like television. Then came round 2. Claudette was at the podium for the face-off. Steve read the question. Name something you would do if a doctor told you that you only had 1 year to live. The studio did not fall silent yet. The audience was still in game mode. Some people murmured suggestions. The buzzers sat between Claudette and the Morrison contestant, a man named Derek, waiting to be hit. Derek hit it first. He said, "Travel the world." It was the #3 answer. The board revealed it. The Morrisons decided to play. But Claudette had not moved. She was still standing at the podium. Her hand was on her stomach again. Her eyes were fixed on the survey board, on the question that was still displayed in bright letters. Her bottom lip was pressed between her teeth so hard that when she finally released it, there was a white mark. Steve noticed. He always notices. "Claudette," he said, easy, casual, the way he says 100 names a week. "You all right, sweetheart?" And Claudette Marie Fontenot, who had hidden a cancer diagnosis from her students, who had gone back to work 14 days after surgery, who had not cried on camera or off camera, or anywhere except the bathroom floor with the door locked. Claudette looked at Steve Harvey and said, "I know the answer to that question, Steve. I lived it." The studio fell completely silent. Steve set his card down on the podium. He did not look at the camera. He did not look at the producer. He looked at Claudette. "Tell me," he said. She told him. Not everything. Not the medical details, not the bill amounts, not the 15 minutes of silence on the bathroom floor. She told him she was diagnosed with kidney cancer at 31. She told him she lost a kidney. She told him her husband left. She told him she went back to teaching with a drain tube under her dress. She said it all in a voice that did not shake, because Claudette Fontenot had used up all her shaking a long time ago. And then she said, "The question asks what you would do with 1 year. I had my babies. I taught my class. I braided my daughter's hair. I didn't do anything special, Steve. I just didn't stop." Steve Harvey took a breath. He took a step toward her. And the studio fell completely silent for the second time, and a cameraman in the left wing pressed his palm over his eyes, and his shoulders shook, and he kept the camera steady with one hand. "Stop the game," Steve said. He did not say it to Claudette. He did not say it to the audience. He said it to the producers, to the crew, to whoever was listening in his earpiece. He said it the way a man says something when he has already decided and is not asking permission. "I want to talk to everyone watching at home right now," Steve said, turning to the camera. "You just heard this woman, 31 years old, cancer, lost her kidney, lost her husband, went back to work in 2 weeks. 2 weeks! And you know what she said? She said she didn't do anything special." He paused. He shook his head slowly. "That's the most special thing I've ever heard anybody say on this stage. And I have been standing on this stage for a long time." He turned back to Claudette. He put both hands on her shoulders. He looked at her the way you look at someone when you need them to hear you. Really hear you. Not the TV version, but the real version. "Didn't stop despite everything breaking." 5 words. He said them so quietly that the studio microphone almost didn't catch them. But it did. And Claudette's face, the face that had not broken in front of her students, in front of her children, in front of the cameras, her face broke. Her composure cracked like a window hit by a stone, and tears came fast and hard, and Ernestine was out of her seat in the audience and moving toward the stage before any producer could stop her. Ernestine climbed the 3 steps to the stage. Nobody stopped her. She wrapped both arms around her daughter, and Claudette buried her face in her mother's shoulder. And Ernestine said, loud enough for the microphone to catch, "I got you, baby. Mama's got you." But Steve wasn't done. He looked at the Morrison family. Derek Morrison, the man who had hit the buzzer first, was standing at his podium with his hand over his mouth. His mother, Carolyn Morrison, had tears running down her face. "Morrison family," Steve said, "talk to me." Derek Morrison stepped out from behind his podium. He walked to center stage. He did not look at Steve. He looked at Claudette. "Ma'am," he said, "my mother is a breast cancer survivor. 7 years. And I know what your family went through because I watched mine go through it." He paused. He swallowed. "We don't need to win this round. Give it to them." Carolyn Morrison nodded. The Morrison daughters nodded. Steve looked at the producer. The producer looked at Steve. And in what multiple crew members would later describe as the first time in the show's 46-year history that a family voluntarily forfeited a round they were winning, the points went to the Fontenots. But Steve wasn't done. He reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out his phone. He made a call right there on stage, in front of the audience, in front of the cameras. He called a friend. He did not say who. He spoke for maybe 90 seconds. He hung up. "Claudette," he said, "I just talked to a friend of mine. Your medical bills, you said you still owe money?" She nodded. "How much?" She hesitated. $31,000, she said quietly. He nodded once. "Not anymore," Steve said. The audience erupted. Claudette's legs gave out, and Ernestine caught her, and Denise was screaming, and Raymond was crying. Raymond, the man who had flexed for the cameras 20 minutes ago, was standing on national television, sobbing into both hands. The studio fell completely silent again. just for a breath, just long enough for the weight of what had happened to settle. And then the noise came back louder than before. They played Fast Money. Claudette and Denise. Claudette went first and scored 181 points. Denise brought the total to 227. They won $20,000, and the board lit up, and the Fontenot family held each other in a circle on that stage. And Steve Harvey stood 3 feet away with his hands clasped in front of him, and he did not say a word. He let it breathe. He let the cameras capture what no script could write. The episode aired on November 12, 2021. The clip of Steve saying, "Stop the game," was uploaded to YouTube that evening. It had 2.8 million views in the first 12 hours. By the end of the week, it had reached 31 million. It trended globally on Twitter for 4 days. GMA ran the story. The Today Show ran the story. People magazine put Claudette and Ernestine on the cover of their Heroes Among Us issue. Within 3 weeks, a GoFundMe organized by one of Claudette's former students, a girl named Brianna, who was now 19 and in college, raised $142,000. The donations came from every state and from 27 countries. Strangers wrote letters. Strangers sent cards to Cypress Grove Elementary addressed to Mrs. Fontenot, the teacher who didn't stop. 3 months later, Claudette's oncologist, Dr. Mehta, confirmed that her cancer was in full remission. Her blood work was clean. Her remaining kidney was functioning at 91% capacity. She called Ernestine from the parking lot and said, "Mama, it's gone." Ernestine did not say anything. She just cried. She had earned that cry. A year after the episode aired, Claudette used a portion of the GoFundMe money, with Brianna's help and the donor's blessing, to establish a fund called Teachers Fighting. It provides emergency financial assistance to public school teachers diagnosed with serious illness who risk losing insurance. In its first year, the fund helped 47 teachers in 9 states. 14 of those teachers later wrote to Claudette and said that the fund was the reason they were able to continue treatment. Today, Claudette is 38 years old. She still teaches 2nd grade at Cypress Grove Elementary. She still makes $42,600 a year. She got a raise. Avery is 11 now and braids her own hair. But on Sunday nights, she still asks her mother to do it. Josiah is 8 and plays flag football and thinks Steve Harvey is the coolest person alive. Ernestine still drives from Opelousas, not every day anymore, but every Sunday for dinner, 91 miles each way. Terrence called in December of 2022. He said he was sorry. Claudette said she knew. She did not say she forgave him. She did not say she didn't. Some things take longer than a phone call. In Mrs. Thibodeau's office at Cypress Grove Elementary, there is a framed photograph on the wall behind her desk. It is a picture of Claudette on the Family Feud stage, standing between Ernestine and Denise, all 3 of them wearing teal. Beneath the photo, Mrs. Thibodeau taped a handwritten note on a yellow index card. It says, "She didn't stop. A secret carried alone will crush you. But a secret spoken aloud, in front of the cameras, in front of the lights, in front of a man in a suit who was willing to stop everything and listen, becomes something else entirely. It becomes proof. Not that suffering is noble, not that pain has a purpose, but that the people who keep going, who show up every morning with their wounds hidden beneath their clothes, are the bravest people in any room they walk into. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you're here the next time someone's story needs to be told. Drop a comment and tell us about a teacher who changed your life, because they're carrying more than you know, and hearing your words might be the thing that keeps them going. Rotation log. PH. PH1. Urgency second-person challenge. HF. HF2. Mid-drama open plus quote at emotional peak. Type. Type 5. Secret illness reveal on stage. Entry. D. Sister, sibling initiates as surprise. Style. B. Layered reveal. Present, past, intercut. Angle. B. Personal fund, charity established. CTA. CTA 2. Subscribe plus bell plus comment about someone you know. Words. 3,640. Quote. Didn't stop despite everything breaking. Opening word. You. Closing image. Framed photograph with index card note.